And again, thank you for joining us. We do appreciate your presence as always. We have cash out. It goes with a short code for as many times as you can. Make sure that you're part of this. So you're going to find it on the screens. And for those of you who tend to join us, we're grateful as always. So choose option 2. And for the many times that you join, please dial as many times as you can. You become one of those lucky winners. What I love about, and good morning to you, Kujo Bona, making all this possible. Please make sure that for the midweek you're able to be part of this great conversation and cash out as many times as you can. Now, we're going to have some great discussions this morning, very topical on the subjects, and we're going to tell you why it is important for us to discuss, because there's a petition before the president, and 3 of them were told in that statement signed by the government communication person or spokesperson, or the minister who is responsible for that, Felix Kwachofosu, who is indicating 3 petitions are before or were before the president, and by what the constitution dictates, he has forwarded those 3 petitions to a council of state. But more importantly, well, so we'll take a look at that as one, and that's a signed statement officially by Felix Kwache. But on the subject this morning for us to discuss, after just having one round of a word on the subject, we want to talk about some critical issues. The minority leader, Alex Apenyo-Markin, says that, look, the way the Attorney General and government generally is going about its oral and the prosecutions based on their own evidence they have of actions or missions that have been undertaken by individuals, especially per what already has been communicated to the public, individuals who served in the Ekufuado, as well as Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia government, is not the way to go. That's according to Alex Apenyo-Markin. He also proceeds to indicate that it looks like this is, well, not the exact quote, but just paraphrase, trial by media, and also indicates that if you have evidence, I mean, literally saying that just proceed to court. And he thinks that publicly having a press conference and informing the public, that's the generality of the Ghanaian voter or the members of the public or the Ghanaian population about actions being undertaken by the Attorney General, is not only erasmus, that's my own word, or populism, so to speak, but just a show of force. And the rights of those individuals are being infringed. But we want to take a look at that because, you know, per the actions and then what greeted the announcements by the Attorney General, we're told that the Ghanaian public say they want to know, what are you doing? What actions are you taking? All right. And then also containers have gone missing at ECG. But the containers were not in the offices or the warehouse of the ECG. Apparently, they were at the Tema port and then just got missing. You know, containers are not like toffee, like I said earlier, where you can put in your pocket. So how did they get missing? So we'll see. But let me just tell you who we have. Dr. Zato has joined us. Dr. Zato is a governance expert, political analyst as well. He's a public policy expert in his own right and lectures with the University of Ghana, Political Science Department. He's joined us. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Alan.
He's a Salaman.
Thank you. Hey, you look nice.
Thank you. Thank you. It's Ghana month. Yeah, and I also like you in the smoke.
No, me, it was because I have done so I couldn't hire anything. So right. The easiest thing to go for was the smoke.
For this one.
So, but it was good. I like the fact that it fits with the Ghana man term. You look good. Your hat in particular. And I like the way you bent it. You know, there are meanings to how you place the hat,
now,
right?
I'm told that when you don't have money and you're humble, you're not
That is the you don't have money post?
Yes.
Really?
When you don't have money, you are humble, and you're not facing off with anybody. You're not showing anybody that you have power. Then you do it this way. That's the education I got from Hamza Sohiyeni. and then all my friends, whether it's Amidu of Sona Fashions, and then also Hashmin, and then also Dr. Salif will come back of Boko.
They all tell you to keep this persona.
Yeah,
right?
no, this way you bend it this way. It shows that you're a broke man, you're humble, that kind of thing. You're not challenging anybody. And then also, Hamza Suhuyini. He is a lawyer as well. Thank you for joining us, Hamza.
Thank you, Roland.
Great.
And you forgot to add that he's a sympathizer of the New Patriotic Party. It's important. I'm sure that's why he started on the note of doing so. That they left behind, that this current government is working so hard to try to resolve.
There's a problem with stating the fact there was also...
There is nothing wrong with me pointing to the fact that you are a known member of the New Patriotic Party and you appear on this platform as a sympathizer for that matter, because I'm told that you guys have boycotted this platform.
I do speak to you, but there's something called your tea bread. Does that affect it?
No, it doesn't, but it's important. You see, this TV3 is a reputable TV station. And even when people travel into the country for the first time, they monitor TV3. So it's important for those who may not be aware and probably listening to you today to know that you are a member of the New Patriotic Party. And you appear on this set, not just as an expert in governance, but largely as a sympathizer of the New Patriotic
This one I must defend myself. No.
I cannot just...
Please kill their mic for me. Off their mic for me. So let me introduce Solomon. Is watching you like a diplomat because he's even surprised, please. Solomon, how are you?
The problems of the day. I mean, the NDC...
Problems of the day.
Yes, that is the Ghana's problems, but we will deal with it. I'm very good, and you're also looking good. And it rained yesterday. We are... hopeful that it will rain more so that we can have bumper harvest this year. Great. Except that the rains must be directed to the villages or the suburbans, because in Accra, when it rains, it only washes paint. It creates more problems. A lot of problems on the road. A lot of problems. I mean, more billboards are down, structures down, and so on and so forth. So it must rain, but we pray that it rain in farming communities so that we can have bumper harvesting.
All right. So we'll start the conversation. What do you make of the petitions in the first place? Let me start with you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Roland. And as I always do, let me say good morning to all my friends and colleagues and family members listening to Tumu. Tumulu la kalase ne sesala la kalase ne me pamadia madia pana duona ni na kra ha mojeng duona ni dia la ko amala soloya anani la kalase voni na maderu. I'm just praying for those who are fasting. There's something quickly that I have to say, and usually I don't like to do this, but I have to do it here. Mr. Suhuni, you are here because somebody in the NDC sent you to come to this station and represent them. I don't know. I'm here. Nobody from NPP sent me here. TV3 invited me here.
Our initial comments, we always use 8 minutes.
Yes, I know.
I just want to tell you, Dr.
TV3 invited me here on the strength of my CV. Nobody. I'm a member of the NPP and a very proud member, and I will always be.
That's
but I am not here on... You see, I've said this, and I know why you're saying that. You're trying to jaundice the process. But I have to always make this clear. But I've ignored it a lot of times, but now I'm going to do it.
You have 7 minutes.
Petition to remove the Chief Justice is nothing surprising there. There is a plan, there's a constituted activity to remove the Chief Justice, and I can say that without any hesitation, that the Chief Justice is first, then after Chief Justice, it will be the Electoral Commissioner. And
I don't understand.
So
Somebody told you that?
I'm saying,
you are envisaging
I'm reading the leaflets. I'm reading the political temperature, that this is how it is going to go. And look, I can say that it will happen. The Chief Justice will be removed. It has absolutely nothing to do with the merits or otherwise of the petition in front of him. I've not seen it, but I can tell you, and I don't bet.
Did you look at the merit, the petition that was sent to Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the president at the time?
No, I didn't look at it.
You didn't?
No, I didn't look at it.
So you, a question like this, and I have to ask you this. If you make the supposition based on the principle that you are espousing in your initial response, then you're almost self-indicting yourself.
No, I'm not making a legal point. I'm not making a legal point.
Because then you're not arguing on principle.
No, I am.
Because there was a petition that was sent to the office of former president at the time he was president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. So how does that make this one a planned one?
That petition.
Are you saying that one was planned?
That petition was, for want of a better word, dismissed. But I'm making a political comment, not a legal issue, because I'm not qualified for that. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a student of law, so I cannot make that. But I can read the political lenses and I can read the political lenses. And I'm telling you that based on observations and based on how this happened. Remember, even in opposition, the NDC has never liked this Chief Justice. Even in opposition, the NDC has never liked this. I am saying that based on politics.
Are you saying that Professor Kwekwa or Professor Kwekwaza is a member of the NDC, or
I don't know. I don't know.
So when Professor Kweku sent a petition to former president, at the time president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, you are saying it was instigated by the NDC, John Mahama?
I didn't say that. I didn't say
this is a petition to the president.
That was during the NPP
what
regime.
the Constitution says. Petition to the president.
Yes, again. So that was the point I made. During the NPP regime, the petition was saying the petition was thrown out.
So why don't you wait for the petition to run its course?
Yes, but I can wait. But then why are we discussing the petition? I am saying that I am discussing it from a political angle, not a legal perspective. Because from a legal perspective, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a student of law. The political as calculations perspective is that, and it was espoused, it was strongly argued that the Chief Justice is biased and that the judiciary is biased. You heard this word called packing of the courts. You heard this was something that was not hidden. And so you read the leaflet, you realize that I had it. So I watched the campaign, I followed the public discourse, that the courts were packed. The Supreme Court was packed. You also hear this unanimous FC, that the Supreme Court was unanimous. It always ruled in favor of the NPP and not the NDC. So this is part of that plan. And I am saying that I'm saying that I'm hypothesizing that it will happen. He will go. She will go. The next after that will be the two chairmen of the EC. I'm hypothesizing. That's my theory. Bosman Asari and Jane Mensah, and that is part of the plan here. For me, it doesn't matter. A politician must appoint a Chief Justice, and then the Chief Justice comes. And the politician must appoint the EC chair, the come. But the question then we then ask is that this is going to be first, and they are first. The first time that we are doing it. And I think students of political science and students of law will learn something from it. We'll try to understand how it is done, when it has to, because even I don't know whether during our military regimes, a Chief Justice has ever been removed from court. I don't know. But we will get to see and we'll get to understand how that happens. But we should not, and my point is that nobody should delude him or herself to think that this is going to be a process that is devoid of politics. Because the process of appointing a Chief Justice is politics, it's political. And so the process of removing him too is steeped in politics. And my argument is that it will happen, the Chief Justice will go. But then it then gets to the question where we are now beginning to ask about the trust in the judiciary, about their independence. If one person goes and then the other person comes, and then before you realize, we will be making nonsense of the fact that of the tenure or the safety of Chief Justices or of Justice of the Supreme Court. And very soon we are going to turn that into a football court. And then make sure that whenever there's a new coach or this person goes. Maybe that is what this judiciary needs. Maybe that is what our country needs. Maybe that is what will just help deliver justice. Because other than that, I don't see why. It's a political ball now and it's going to happen. Yeah, the Chief Justice will go and somebody will come. That may be how we should go. And in that case, then I hope that the constitutional review, I will just tell them that I will just suggest today, if I can suggest that they should just change it, make it a look. A new president comes, appoints his Chief Justice. When he's leaving, he leaves to the Chief Justice, another one comes. Because this cycle, once started, will continue and will not be abated anytime soon.
I say, the Constitution does indicate the processes by which a Chief Justice could be removed.
Yes.
But so too, does it indicate how a Chief Justice could be appointed?
Yes.
So when you're saying that it's political by way of the removal, I don't understand you. But it's not a question. So Heini, so far, what's the response on the corridors of power? That John Mahama, our president, is just following through the articles of the Constitution to walk through the processes as to whether there's merit or not in these petitions per Article 146 or 146, if there's any indication to that.
Good morning, Roland, to you and of course our cherished viewers out there and my colleagues in the studio. I think first of all, the information from the corridors of power is not different from what has been released by the Minister of Government Communications, Honorable Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, to the effect that 3 petitions have been received. And those petitions, in the words of the MPP, when President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was President of the Republic of Ghana, the President is engaged in nothing at this stage except as being a conveyor belt, conveying it at this stage in line with the dictates of
the Constitution.
Yes, of course, in line with the dictates of Clause 6, Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution, where he is mandated to refer such petitions to the Council of State. So together with the Council of State, the next stage, as expected, would be for the President, together with the Council of State, to decide whether indeed there's a prima facie case based on which the petitions can now be proceeded with. We have not reached that stage. In the spirit of good governance and transparency, what the president has done through his Minister of Government Communications is simply to inform the good people of this country that I have received these 3 petitions, and in line with constitutional obligations, I have since forwarded same to the Council of State. And I believe that the president is following the spirit and letter of the Constitution, as was clearly espoused in the case of Frank Ajetum and Attorney General. And so let us allow the processes to manifest. As for issues of political inclinations, we all can run our individual commentaries on same. But the reality is that, indeed, I will not run away from the fact that in opposition, as a major political party, the NDC had cause to complain about the conduct of the judiciary and certain elements of the judiciary.
Because Dr. Zato is citing that as
absolutely we are
a motive.
We are an important political player in this country, and we must be seen at every step of the way championing the aspirations of the Ghanaian people, especially that time as a political party. And based on the surveys that we conducted and the information we picked on the ground, we're clear that Ghanaians had concerns about the conduct of the Chief Justice and some elements within the judiciary. So if we promised a reset in our state institutions, it does not mean that certain institutions will be spared that reset, especially if the people need it. We are not going to shy away from that.
Mr. Sohina, are you saying that the petitioners are signs of the
No, I'll get there. That is why I'm trying as much as possible to be candid. I'm not trying to run away from the challenges we raise with the Chief Justice. But all what I'm telling you is that those challenges are different from the concerns we raise. Indeed, when Professor Asare first submitted his petition to the president, the NDC was not in power. It was President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo who was the sitting president then. What we are simply doing is continuing with petitions that have been presented to the presidency. And we are forwarding saying, it does not mean that the NDC will intervene in influencing the outcome of these decisions. But it is important for people to know, in the spirit of good governance, like I have indicated, that indeed, even in opposition, undoubtedly as a political party, we also had our concerns. But the NDC has not proceeded to present a petition to President Mahama to remove the Chief Justice. Indeed, under the laws, the NDC can do so, because it is a political party and it is interested in the welfare of this country. But we have not elected not to do so. Citizens have presented their petitions to the presidency. The president has forwarded saying, we do not know whether at the end of the day President Mahama would say, in consultation with the Council of State, that a prima facie case has been established. He may say it has been established or it has not been established. So why are we in a haste to conclude that this is politically driven? So separate the fact that we had concerns in opposition as a political party from what is actually going on, because what is actually going on is in line with the law. Indeed, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo used the same processes and the law to remove the electoral commissioners and her 2 deputies. I'm sure you did not have any problem with it, because he followed the due process of law according to you people, even though we had our reservations. Today, the ones... You
mean Charlotte Osei?
Charlotte Osei and the likes.
Absolutely.
But remember that even in opposition, President Akufo-Addo also raised concerns about the conduct of the electoral commission and the issue of fairness. So were we justified if we had also concluded that it was done politically? And yes, some of us raise those concerns, but if the truth is that the law courts is there for you to go and test whether indeed those things were done arbitrarily or done in accordance with the law. And all what we seek to do, I can assure you that if we conclude that the petitions establishes a prima facie case, we would not shy away from our responsibility as a political party and as a government in ensuring that the processes of the law take its due course. And that does not mean political interference. And I can assure you, trust me, I'm sure if you meet any Ghanaian today, they will tell you that there are issues with their judicial system. Were you proud about the outcome of decisions from the judiciary? Absolutely not. My brother Solo is here.
But is that not the utterances from you and the position you hold by your principle that is making Dr. Zato and...
He is forgiven.
And the MPP make the conclusions that Well, this is politically motivated.
He is
Even though,
forgiven.
of course, there are individual citizens who are...
My point is that he is forgiven to reach that conclusion, but it does not mean that it is seen. The fact that an opposition party criticizes the judiciary does not mean that when it assumes power and citizens exercise their right, it does not necessarily mean that that is the position of the political party. So the NDC shouldn't have criticized the judiciary. So we're also exercising our constitutional right by those criticisms. But the point I am making is that me, seated here, as far as my personal view is concerned, I can assure you on authority.
So you're saying the Council of State advises the President that, yes, there's merit in these petitions?
No, the Council of State is not advising the President. According to the principles as established in Frank Ajay and Attorney General, they must reach the decision of prima facie case together in consultation with each other. So at this stage, it has nothing to do with an advice. It's a discussion. The two arms would engage to establish whether indeed there's a prima facie case that warrants the petition to proceed or not. And we are at that stage. So let us be patient. But personally, if you want my personal view, Raymond, to be honest with you.
My name is Roland.
Roland, sorry. To be honest with you, if I was not occupying this position that I'm occupying, personally, I would have also filed a petition.
If you were a member of the Council of State, you would have...
Not a member of the Council. Okay. Just in my right as a citizen of Ghana, right. I am pretty much convinced that I would have also filed a petition against
Mr. Usu, in the Constitution, Article 1466 does indicate that where the petition is for the removal of the Chief Justice, the President shall act in consultation with the Council of State, appoint a committee consisting of 2 justices of the Supreme Court, one of whom shall be appointed chairman by the President, and 3 other persons who are not members of the Council of State, nor members of Parliament, nor lawyers. And then he proceeds, the committee appointed under Clause 6 of this article shall inquire into the petition and recommend to the President whether the Chief Justice ought to be removed from office. Now, there are underpinnings, because public opinion also tends to sway for or against actions that are undertaken, even though they are constitutionally mandated or required. In relation to this very petition, for instance, do you think perception has, at this time, seemed to support the petitioners for the removal of the Chief Justice?
Roland, let me greet you and say that anybody that questions this petition is insulting the intelligence of Professor.
It's too early for you, Mr. Usu.
And also even insulting.
How do you make
insulting the Chief Justice herself? Because the point is that there are grounds for which you can petition for the Chief Justice to be removed. It's a constitutional provision, no other than misconduct or incompetence. So is anybody complaining of this petition saying that the Chief Justice is so incompetent to defend herself on matters of misconduct or incompetence? That is why there's going to be a committee that will look into the matter. And at the committee stage, in fact, if a prima facie case is established, at the committee stage, the Chief Justice will have an opportunity to go and say her side of the story. So what is the big fuss about this?
There's no fuss?
People must give us a break. You understand? Professor Kwaku Azar grounded
Asari, aka Azar.
Let's add the Azar, that's what people know. I hope it's not Azar, it's normal. But Professor Kwaku Asari grounded his petition on the issue of misconduct or incompetence, and that cited the unilateral decision of the Chief Justice in appointing 5 appeal court judges to the Supreme Court, which is against the laws of the land. That if a Supreme Court, before someone gets to the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice in consultation with the Judicial Council will have to make that determination before a final decision is made. Is it a case, or was it a case that indeed took place? Now, if you read the petition carefully, Professor Kwaku Azar or Professor Kwaku Asari cited letters that suggest that the Judiciary or the Judicial Council were never in the known as to what was happening.
And that the Chief Justice was communicating directly with the President?
Absolutely. That man past man. She was dealing directly with the President.
How can you say
man past man? Man past woman, woman past man. They were writing among themselves without the knowledge of the Judicial Council. That is not to say that was the position But that is what the petition says. So it will only be fair that we go into the matter to establish the veracity of this claim. What is so big about this? In any case, anybody that's holding any public office, you were appointed. In the same way you were appointed, there is also a way of disappointing you. That is all your personal property. You are representing the people of this country.
So you're saying that if you misconduct yourself, then the laws must be applied.
All of us must clap for the one.
Even if you're setting
if you are misconduct, the word is misconduct. If you are misconducted yourself, what business do you have being at post? But as we speak, there is no determination that she has misconducted herself. That is why it is even important for her own credibility that a committee is established to establish the fact that she indeed misconduct or did not misconduct herself. So why wouldn't you clap for such a position? In any case, whatever we do in our life is political in nature. Everything we do is political in nature.
That's what I said. He was forgiven.
And we are here doing politics.
There's a question I asked about public opinion. Is it that the actions of the Chief Justice in the court of public opinion, and then also maybe actions she may or might have supervised within the processes of the work of those who are in the Superior Court of Judicature, might have also created negative publicity for the public, either to be divided on these petitions?
Interestingly, you know, Professor Kwakwasari's petition says that he is not calling for his removal because of the judicial decisions that she has made, but rather the administrative nature of her work. These are two issues. In terms of whether or not the judiciary is in a bad taste before the public, it's out there. Look, I have the cause of complaining about a lot of registrars, criminals over there. They are destroying the judiciary. You go there, they connive. Me, myself, I've been a victim. I've told them.
You've been a victim?
They will connive, even when, as a client, as a defendant in the matter, you have not received what you call a service. The registrar, you will go there. When you have won the case and you are going for your properties, miraculously, she will surface with, what do you call it, applications that a lawyer has found something. And these are people who are working within the judiciary. So it's not just about the judges. Sometimes the judges are innocent. But those that are supposed to help in the cause of justice, they are the ones that are killing the judiciary. So, but you bear the ultimate responsibility. In terms of this one, the claim is very specific. Did she do or did she not do? Did she, together with the president alone, decide to, as it were, get people to be nominated to the Supreme Court? That is what we are dealing with. And this must not be misconstrued that someone is doing the bidding of someone. In any case, on the 17th of December, it wasn't the NDC that was in power. It was the MPP. Is Dr. Zato, by his admonition, telling me that the president then did not decide to proceed with the matter because the woman or the Chief Justice is a member of the MPP? Is that what he's saying?
I don't understand.
No, because what he's saying is that the current president has decided to deal with the matter because it is an NDC thing. And I'm asking whether or not the decision by President Kufuor, former President Kufuor, not to proceed with the matter or not to establish a prima facie case with the Council of State then was purely political, was purely based on the fact that he perceived the Chief Justice as a member of the MPP. We cannot be doing some of these things. Let the system flow. The last time I checked, Professor Kwakwasari is not a member of the NDC. I'll be the first person to fight this administration if they decide to shortchange the people of this country.
You mean to be arbitrary?
Absolutely. Because we cannot be leading this country like that. But once you are a public officer, you must always and always subject yourself to public scrutiny. And I think the Chief Justice should be capable of doing that. She is not a small lady or a young lady in this matter. She can always and always, if indeed she has not misconducted herself, to defend her ashes.
So low, your chances this morning.
But this is serious. I am so much scandalized when something is a constitutional provision and a citizen of this country is moving the constitution to work, and we come here and then complain about it. Then what are we doing? We must as well change our status as Ghanaians, because this is the only place that we have our being as Ghanaians. It is the constitution that prefers unto citizens whether or not we are Ghanaians. And if the same person, the Chief Justice is Chief Justice because the constitution says so. And if the same constitution is providing avenues where you can remove a Chief Justice, what is your problem? If the Chief Justice thinks she has done anything untoward, I would suggest that she resigns humbly. But if she believes that she has not misconducted herself, I will urge her on to fight this battle to end. And I will pray that the Council of State together with the presidency will establish a prima facie case. Let's go into the matter. Very important.
So you have a certain negative perception about the work of the Superior Court of Judicature.
No,
and of course, also feeding into the negative perception by the public against the Superior Court of Judicature.
I have told you I'm a regular visitor to the courts of this land by way of business. And the sort of things that they do there, they are the reasons why businesses are not thriving in this country. Some of the judges, they have no business whatsoever to be on the bench. They are destroying businesses. And it starts with the head. It is important we clean the system. Clean? We have to clean the system. Some of the judgments, when you read it, you ask yourself, this person, was he conceived for 9 months? Because it doesn't make sense. If I tell you some of the stories, you ask yourself, is it true that I came from the court of competent jurisdiction? So we all have our cases. If you like, open your phone lines. The number of people that will tell you stories at the court. But when all of us have an issue, where do we run to? Is it not a court? So if there is a problem there, if you want to have a nation or a state called Ghana, you must deal with issues there. And if a Ghanaian has seen something of this nature and has petitioned does not mean the finality of the matter. Let's go through the motion and see whether or not the petition will suffice or the Chief Justice will survive. And that is what I'm saying this morning.
And you see, Roland, just for the purposes of information, it is important to state that the presidency has not just for information, it is important to state that the presidency has not indicated the faces behind these 3 petitions. And it is for good reason. This is still in line with the rule of law as expected. So we can all sit here and run assumptions as to who probably is behind those petitions. But those names have not been made public.
I believe that the submission have been made is also based on Professor Kwekwasare's initial petition to the former president. But Dr. Zato, just veering away and come to the substantive matter for which we decided to invite all of you distinguished gentlemen to come and join us this morning. The minority leader is strongly complaining. The actions and then also the position of the Attorney General on some of these cases already even announced within the week. The concern he has currently is the fact that he feels there's a certain trial by media that the Attorney General is undertaking, and that if you have evidence, you think there's any case, prima facie, and you have evidence, go to court. Don't be displaying yourself in the public. But on the other hand, there are also concerns that have been raised that the public wants to know. What do you say about that?
Okay, what I say is this. When one of the things the former president, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, is like to have told his appointees is that every single appointee should stay in the country or should remain in the country and make him or herself available. I
don't understand. Were you there when the former president was telling former appointees?
Make themselves available to be held accountable for their actions or their inactions. So for me, it's not a big deal. I come from, I subscribe to a theory of accountability. A theory of accountability. And here I will define 2 types of accountabilities. One, there is what we can refer to as regime accountability. Regime accountability. And by regime accountability, I'm referring to situations where a president within his or her tenure holds his or her appointees accountable for their acts of omissions and commissions. And where possible, prosecutes them, and if the courts find them guilty, jails them. That is my preferred form of accountability for public office holders.
How do you explain regime accountability?
That's what I've just said.
And how that played out in the Akufo-Addo-led government?
I'm coming to that. There were people in the Akufo-Addo administration who were either investigated or tried. But the point I'm making is that generally, I'm coming to a theory. Let me make this point clear. That this theory must be upheld. That if you are a president and if you have appointees and the appointees conduct or misconduct themselves through their actions or inactions, regime accountability means that you should be held accountable. But where regime accountability is unavailable or insufficient, then I will move to the second best option, which is post-regime accountability. I hypothesize that in a post-regime accountability system, a new government or a new president comes in, and that can continue or should continue the work that was supposed to be done but not done by the previous mission. In other words, if a new government now comes and finds that appointees of the government had misconducted themselves or can go ahead, investigate them and protect them. So either way, either regime accountability or post-regime accountability, the ultimate objective is that public office holders must be held accountable for their actions and inactions while they were in office.
That's your belief.
That's my belief. So I have no qualm whatsoever with anybody holding people to account for them. My point, what then happens is that I'm asking the question, look at how much work that Honorable Dominic Ayine, Attorney General, has put into this work he's doing. He has gone to the full length of explaining to Ghanaians that I have done a lot of this work, there's a lot of these painstaking investigations. He's done this, now he's taking the case to court. The question I ask is, what if this case runs in court for 8 years? What if after 8 years or even after 4 years, he's moved from Attorney General to another place, a new Attorney General comes within the same NDC, and that Attorney General decides to file a nolle prosecute to dismiss the cases? How would you feel?
That's a problem for you?
That's a problem for me because it challenges...
Why should that be a problem for you,
It undermines the post-regime or the regime accountability structures. It undermines it because it tells people that play the system, game the system. Whatever you can do to delay any judgment, do it. Hope that there's a change of government and a new Attorney General. I'm telling you this because of an hindsight. In the ambulance case, the case delayed for 8 years. It was done. In so many cases,
and some of those cases for which the current auditor, Attorney General, filed a nolle prosecute.
Yes. So look at in the Saglemi cases, in the other cases, the amounts of money were even more than this.
Nanado Danko
yes.
And Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's government.
Yes, but the Attorney General could have continued with my theory of what? Post-regime accountability. To still hold them accountable. Take on. It was alleged, let me say that, alleged that $200 million was lost in the Saglemi case. It was alleged that money. That now, right now, we don't know. I don't know what has happened. So it's gone. Another Attorney General. This is my point. There was an Attorney General who investigated, who put in all the hard work, who did it and took the case to court, flushed under into the toilet. Now another Attorney General is doing the same, has done the same hard work. We were told, Yoko, others have come in. State money, resources have been used to investigate this. It's going to court.
By the previous government, there were cases that
Roland,
that the former Attorney General had judgment for.
Either way,
case, for example,
either way, the point I'm making is that
So what's your point?
My point is that we don't seem to want to hold people accountable because we are not respecting the regime and the post-regime accountabilities. Because the former people who were in that government, now they're all gone. All the knowledge prosecutors have gone. We've not retrieved any of the monies, or none of them too. Secondly, the amount of money spent on those investigations and all the hard work that the public servants, the dedicated public servants that did investigate, all that flushed into the toilet. But now we are starting the new ones again. My point, I'm praying and hoping that no matter what happens, that these cases get a hearing, that these cases get a ruling. I pray and hope that no Attorney General comes and then uses his or her powers of what is it called, to throw away these cases. Because when you do that, it looks like you are being selected.
You think the cases will outrun 4 years?
I don't know. When the Saglami case went to court, we didn't know it was going to take that long. When the ambulance case went to court, we didn't know it was going to take 8 years. But it can happen. I don't know. Remember, I always tell you that I look at the political system because I'm not a lawyer. The question then is that on the one hand, you are holding people accountable for misusing $7 million. Absolutely. They should be. You should do that. But then on the other hand, you are people who have alleged to spend $200 million. You are saying, you go away. I see that inconsistency, and I think that
you didn't follow the Saglemi case.
And I'm saying the same way.
The fact of the case that was filed by the former Attorney General did not indicate that Collins Dauda.
Again, remember that I'm not mentioning names. I'm just saying that when you're reading,
as the first
finally, there's something else I'm saying.
Spend 200
we
million.
are saying,
I'm only correcting.
I've not said anybody spent any money. I didn't say that. I said the case, it was alleged that this was the amount of money that went missing. I'm not saying anybody spent it. So I'm not saying that. But there's something that I'm asking for. When Abuga Pele and Sedinam Tamoklo were convicted, they were held accountable by the courts.
Abuga Pele was convicted under John Dramani.
I'm saying they were convicted by the courts. And they were...
Sedinam Tamoklo was convicted in absentia.
They were convicted by the courts, and as I said, they were held accountable for their actions and their inactions. There's something that always happens that also helps to undermine the independence of judiciary, like my brother Solomon was saying. Initially, especially in these countries, a high-level public servant goes to court. Because before you realize, a whole political party rallies around them. Sometimes even goes to court to try to subpoena them. The question, I'm saying that these actions and inactions that have been done by politicians also contribute to the over-politicization of the judiciary. And they also contribute to undermining the independence of the judiciary. I don't see any reason why a political party should get up, go to court, or hold president to seem to be supporting the party when the person has got the lawyers and the person is available to the justice system. Let's play our role, especially like political parties, MPs, people, by leaving the court to do.
I don't understand. For example, when your party went with Afenyo-Maki and everybody...
It was wrong. I'm just telling you that all those...
Are you saying that
today,
if you had won your MPship and you were in parliament, you wouldn't have accompanied them?
The point I'm making is
that
you're asking hypothetical questions. I want to deal with real issues.
But you're also dealing with hypothetical issues.
No, I'm dealing with theories. The theory is not hypothetical.
Yeah, because you made assumptions about 200 million.
I'm saying that a case went to court alleging something, the case was withdrawn. That's true.
Okay. Please.
That's all I'm saying. A case went to court. They said this amount of this. The case was withdrawn. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying somebody, I'm just saying it was withdrawn. A case went to court, they said ambulance saga, it was withdrawn. That's all I'm just saying.
Okay.
Now, these cases are coming, and we hear a lot of cases coming. My hope is that political parties will, just as they want their independence to be able to work, just as the legislature doesn't want anybody coming there trying to force them to what to do. They should stay there. Just as the executive, they want their independence to work. They should also hope that nobody goes to court now trying to force the court to do its work now. Let the judiciary be independently do the work. But ultimately, the point I'm making is that it helps. We should all argue and work for both regime and post-regime accountability. And where any public servant is found wanted, either within the regime or outside the regime, we should allow the legal process to work and the person given the chances. So long as their fundamental human rights are respected, we should let the courts decide and bring accountability, because we need to hold our public servants accountable for their actions and inactions.
Even in the more developed democracies where we try to mimic our democracy or benchmark our democracy against, they do that. For example, is it Mar-a-Lago house of the former president, who now became President Trump, was searched. There were public briefings that were undertaken. They were even supporting people from the Republican side of the Senate, as well as the House of Representatives, all parts of the processes of the court. Indeed, and as you are a lawyer, you know that that's why seats are provided, all right, for audiences, various segments of people to be there, to witness the proceedings of the court, to ensure there's transparency, is that not it? So, absolutely. Now my question is, I mean, if the Attorney General is undertaking this, what would you make of the responses sharply? This seems to be criticizing his actions by the minority leader, Afenyo-Maki.
Roland, it is laughable, and that is why I sympathize with my brother here. The way he struggled to push through his points.
You mean you empathize? Because sympathy is as if somebody has died.
I didn't get that.
Empathy.
No. I'm just giving him my sympathies because I can appreciate why he was struggling through that explanation. But you see, Roland, like you indicated, I always like to start my submissions on the basis of what the NDC promised. And once again, in opposition, we indicated to the good people of this country that we're committed to running a transparent regime. Transparency entails carrying the people along and letting them appreciate at every turn or at every stage of events what is happening and take on board their views Some of the views might not appear palatable. Some may be quite encouraging. And as a listening government, you take on all that to determine your next move. What the Attorney General did in relation to the press conference is not different from what he did in relation to the dropping of charges against certain individuals in this country. For those of us familiar with the law, when an Attorney General files a nolle prosequi, he is not obligated in law to provide explanations.
Oh, not even communicate?
No, he's not obligated in law to provide any obligations. And the likes of Attorney Martin, they know that because they are lawyers. But when those prosecutions were dropped, they demanded explanations. And in the spirit of transparent governance, the Attorney General responded by holding a press conference to explain why some of these charges were dropped. They did not raise concerns about that public explanation offered by the Attorney General, because they know that under the law, he's not obligated to do so. But as a listening government and as a government that has promised the good people transparency, we understand that when you are dealing with the Attorney General, you are not just dealing with a legal advisor, you are also dealing with a political appointee. Roland, that is why it is Minister for Justice and Attorney General. So his role as Minister of Justice is a political one. And he owes some responsibilities to the good people of this country. And part of the responsibility is to let them know what his office is doing. And that is why he's decided to honor that political responsibility by making his operations transparent. Today, the same Attorney General has proceeded to provide explanations as to ongoing investigations and express his view and convictions that based on what he has gathered so far, he is confident that he can secure a conviction in any law court. And you want to turn around once again to question his fidelity to transparency. But when you were the very people demanded explanations when he filed the nolle prosequi.
Oh, how do you mean?
But it was the likes of Papanyomaku who demanded explanations when the nolle prosequi was filed. But under law, he's not obligated to provide explanations.
But if he has reservations, can't he express them?
No, but you see, you cannot approbate and reprobate. You cannot be seen calling on the Attorney General to provide explanations for actions that he's even clothed legally not to provide explanations as AG. But on the basis of Minister of Justice, he provides explanations. And on the other hand, he's providing explanations on ongoing investigations on that, like you are saying, no, he shouldn't provide explanations. What kind of double standards is that? Were they not the very people? I was on another platform with one of them, their Director of Communications, Richard Ahiagwa, who indicated, who was demanded that the national investigative bodies should have PR units to provide explanations behind certain arrests. Not long ago, just about a week or two ago. Today, the Attorney General is responding by giving you the needed explanation as to why certain people have been arrested. In some cases, even at the ports, airport. And you are saying he shouldn't provide those explanations and he should keep it to himself? Why? What kind of double standards is that? So that is the kind of party we are dealing with, Roland. And for us, the focus is to, what's the name? More or less make governance transparent. Bring governance to the doorstep of the ordinary Ghanaian. They must know. The people must know what their government is doing. And the Attorney General and His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama are committed to that fundamental principle of transparency in governance. We would not allow the New Patriotic Party to redefine the terms of engagement when it comes to transparency in government. We believe that one of the reasons why the good people of this country booted them out of office was largely their disregard for the sentiments of the Ghanaian people. You have been mandated to lead on behalf of them. So at every stage, you need to account to the Ghanaian people why certain decisions are being taken. And that is what the Attorney General is doing. And you're making references, and I was happy about the correction. Cycling housing project. The total cost was about $200 million. It does not mean that what went down the drain, and that was under investigation, was equivalent to $200 million.
How much was it?
No. The statement he made, maybe perhaps it was inadvertent, but what he said was that they say he spent $200 million. That's the point I'm making, is that it cannot be accurate. Because in the facts of the case, the Attorney General indicates that he changed the initial agreement without resort to Parliament, which initially had agreed on the main agreement.
But the point I'm making,
and so the money was not spent.
Exactly, but the point but he shouldn't give the impression that the state lost $200 million as a result of.
He said chop. That's
or chopped $200 million.
You said the man chopped.
No, I didn't say that.
That's what you said.
Oh,
Maybe you're not listening to yourself.
I never said anybody chopped.
Okay, so you are correcting yourself.
I'm not correcting myself.
That's another matter.
No, Roland.
That's another matter.
So, but let me make after that. I'm sure you can.
Point me.
Let me. All right. Let me proceed. But then again, you are dealing. Roland, finally. Roland. Yes, but Roland. Finally, we are dealing with the tenure of two important personalities.
Why?
One, the immediate past Attorney General. What's his name again?
Godfrey Dami.
Godfrey Dami. And Dr. Dominic Ayine. We all saw the conduct or witnessed the conduct of Godfrey Dami and his unethical handling of even accused persons.
You mean your
in criminal
opinion?
Trials. Not my opinion. It is a national opinion. Everybody witnessed it. The recordings were made public. Ethically unacceptable. And even the sitting judge had to raise her reservations against his conduct. So that tells you that we're dealing with an Attorney General who decided to pee on the fundamental principles of rule of law, and on the other hand, decided to embrace political inclinations that more or less shaped his pursuit of legal issues in this country. It had nothing to do with the rule of law. What he was doing was simply political because his president wanted a certain end, and he was committed to achieving that. Today, we have an Attorney General who has indicated publicly that as an Attorney General, he's not willing to take any case to court that he cannot define. That suggests that even if the president directs him to go to court with a case that he's not convinced as Attorney General, be rest assured that the Attorney General would not do same, like Godfrey did. But then again, when you are talking about politics, yes, I'm doing so. When you are talking about politics, Roland, President John Dramani Mahama is the first sitting president under the Fourth Republic to subject his own appointees to the legal processes, and at the end of the day, got them convicted. So if the same President John Dramani Mahama has reason to go after ex-appointees of the NPP, be rest assured that this is a man who privileges national interests over and beyond partisan interests. And so let us give him that needed cooperation and respect, because we all agree, like Soro indicated, there's enormous unacceptable rot in our judicial system. It needs cleaning, and we must all be ready to support a government that is committed to provide that avenue for us to clean the judiciary. Because it borders on the survival of not only our democracy, but to a very large extent, this country. And that is the reason why I expect the NPP to support any agenda to ensure that we rid the judiciary from elements that pose that constitute a threat to our judicial system.
Solo, if you analyze the response to the Attorney General by the minority leader Alex Apenyo-Markin, that these are politically motivated and that he's playing to the gallery, he's being populist, etc. What would you make of this? Before your response, just again, let's do a recall. Apenyo-Markin, his insight.
Country we are proud of. Go to court. To the NDC, go to court. Use the judiciary. Use the rule of law. Mr. Speaker, let me come to their so-called 24-hour economy.
What do you make of it? Politically motivated or not? Or do we need to educate the public, inform the public on ongoing prosecutions or not? So there's transparency or not?
Apenyo-Markin is a lawyer. Is that the case?
Yes.
When he decided to respond to the Attorney General, did he go to court, or he's true before the public to make the statement? He's also before the public making the statement.
No, it was in the chamber of Parliament.
The chamber is public. It's a representation of all of us. So he was speaking directly to the people of this country. Now he is a lawyer. He says someone should have gone to court, yet he is in the public space also responding to that person.
I don't understand.
So is it a double sword? There is a double face. Let me tell you, any Attorney General that fails to deal with public perception will fail.
On corruption?
On corruption, he will fail.
Why?
Because you see, you must always carry the people along. How many times would any all Ghanaians have the opportunity to go to court to even listen to the details of the case? So what the Attorney General did yesterday was to inform 2 days ago.
You mean was good? Saying that the individual, Mr. Buahine,
in fact, yesterday I went to a
$7 million, bought houses, etc.
I was going to congratulate him for doing that.
The Attorney General?
I didn't meet him.
I loved it.
He has done something that is so good.
Why, Solo?
Because you see, he himself has put himself in the foot. He has assured the nation that someone has stolen from the nation and that he was going to collect the money for us. Why wouldn't I be proud? So tomorrow, if he fails, you think I'll forgive him?
Okay.
I'm so happy. But in any case, when you go to court or when you send someone to court, all your evidence, now there is no trial by, we don't do surprises in court anymore. You submit all the available documents you are going to stand on to the other party. So what the Attorney General did 2 days ago was to alert the corporate that these are the documents I'm going to...
Afenyo Maki says that, you know, trying to put out the facts of the case even before you go to court, that also means that you're playing to the gallery.
What gallery is he playing to? Populism. Is he not representing the people of this country? The Attorney General, is he not...
The transactions
the Attorney General,
by that individual.
The Attorney General, is he not there because of Ghanaians? So we must not know. We are talking about $7 million. We are being shown evidence of properties. We are being shown how monies were taken from accounts. And you, as the minority leader who has not been sent to court, you are there telling us it's populism. Instead of helping the Attorney General, if indeed it's true, to go and retrieve these monies, you are there telling us that it's populism. In another provision, then you arrest all of us. What has he done that he's always calling for his arrest?
I don't understand.
Any least opportunity, so then you arrest all of us. Nobody has taken you to court. Why are you saying that you must be arrested? Is he afraid of something?
Well, he's the leader of the MPP.
Which leader of the MPP? Is the MPP above the law? Is the MPP on trial? I have said time with that number that if anybody is given an opportunity in the public space and you go and embezzle public funds, you don't expect me to follow you. That would be stupidity. I have told those people that follow politicians, when you go to rally grounds and someone shouts, "Hey, you, watch your pocket before you respond." Maybe the person shouting, "Eyezu," has so much in the account. You don't have nothing. When you go and hear them say, "Hey, Sirado," remember how much is in your account. Such a person, if indeed it's true that he diverted all these funds and got you at a rally ground and shouted, "Hey, Sirado," and you also shouted back, it means you are a fool. Because that guy is rich. And people are distancing themselves from him. That he's not a member of the MPP.
Who are distancing?
Oh, a majority of the MPP.
Because you were a member of the MPP.
Yeah, he is. He was even a member of
to them?
Security Manifesto Committee. He was a member of it.
Whose security? Do you mean the campaign?
The manifesto. Yeah. He was part of those that wrote the security policy of the party.
For the 2024 campaign?
He would have been probably the Minister of Security. We were saved by the bell. Can you imagine someone who was a member of the Security Manifesto Committee of the MPP and the MPP winning an election? The likelihood, and he was the boss of the National Security Bureau under the National Security, the probability would have been the National Security Minister so high. But that is not to say that he is culpable. I am premising my argument on the fact that the Attorney General of the land says he has evidence. When he goes to court and fails, and it must not end there. After that, he has promised middle of April. Is that not the case? He must be in court. He also gave an indication of the National Service saga. So happy. Say now people are singing. I hope it does not become like the limping man where Boku was saying the man is singing. Later we never heard his song. We are very serious in this country.
And that he has to go.
He has no business. I said yesterday I was going to congratulate him for coming out and also tell him.
So these briefings, you love these briefings? I love it. Even though Afenyo Maki, the leader of the minority, criticizes it. It says it's playing to the public gallery.
Let me give this government a free pro bono advice. Immediately they must establish a communication wing of the national security. They must have communication wing of all the departments so that we are briefed periodically. That is the only way you carry the Ghanaian along. Either than that, as for we opposition, will fill in the public space with our propaganda.
That's true.
And it will be very difficult for you to defend yourself. You see how he has been able to douse the opposition with his expose? Hey, we are shown properties. The last time I went to the house, my wife was not even happy with me.
Your wife?
At my age. At my age, I can't boast of more than 3 properties. So when you go and they are serving you, they are front their faces. Because the young men are showing them houses. Hey!
Because they serve in public.
Roland, you will die young. You will die young.
That experience is everywhere, my brother.
You also experience it?
It's everywhere.
Hey!
That's me when I tell you it's everywhere.
You are a younger man.
I'm not experiencing.
A gentleman.
You are experiencing it.
I'm experiencing what?
Dr. Zato.
Experiencing what?
You are not experiencing it.
Dr. Zato.
Okay.
Dr. Zato.
You are not experiencing it.
When people at age 40 are celebrating their birthdays, they remind you that
when you want to lie there, he's licking his tongue. Why you are doing it?
No. Oh, no, please.
I will draw that.
It's redrawn. Dr. Zato, a specific question.
Yes.
Why is it that a government takes over in 2017 and goes on, briefs the public that actions have been taken in specific cases? We have the NCA case, the Sakhleme case, is it Dr. Opuni? And Seidu Agongo, that very case as well, and a number of them as well. And the same is being done, and individuals, leaders of the opposition who were in government at the time that these actions were undertaken say that it's populism. Isn't it a double standard or not?
It is. Look, and it's like saying that all politicians are hypocrites. And sometimes that hypocrisy,
as well,
that hypocrisy, that's why I can say it, because I teach politics. And I tell them that in food, especially when I'm teaching public policy, I tell them the hypocrisy is baked into the DNA of politicians. So I'm not saying that. Look, if you want, I can just give another example. Look at what happened in the United States. I can just go there and I can briefly. When Donald Trump was being prosecuted, he said everything. Today he's in power, he's singing a completely different tune with the judiciary. So it happens. And that's when I came back to my theory.
I don't understand. Donald Trump has been very specific on the actions he will take, and he's taking them.
No,
what is the double standard in reference?
When he was being tried, he said the whole judiciary was corrupt. He said the FBI, the Justice Department was corrupt. Today his Justice Department is doing, he said they are doing an excellent job. That's the point I mean. That's the hypocrisy I'm talking about. But I'm coming back. That is why I subscribe to my theory of what? Regime and post-regime accountability. And it's true. When the moment opposition leaves office and a new government comes, you will see that immediately the opposition will jump to the defense of all their former colleagues. I can sometimes understand from a human nature perspective. They were colleagues. So if today a friend is, they probably were friends and they served together. So if a friend is in trouble, you see the tendency for them to jump down. And we've seen politicians march to the Supreme Court, to the Appeal Court, to the High Court, offering what they call political support or moral support, but actually it is a form of intimidation of the judiciary. That's how I put it, to go to defend the people. And we've seen that, all that, and the flip-flopping. You are in power, you take that, oh, all these prosecutions are good, they are excellent, they should go ahead. Tomorrow you're out of power, you see everything wrong with every prosecution. That flip-flop, that emotional or judicial roller coaster that politicians put us through, it contributes to the eroding of public confidence in our judicial system. It does. Then what it means is that if you are an MPP and ADC's office, you see every single prosecution as political motivator, and then vice versa. I'm saying that we have to find a way. So I'm looking for a day when MPs from either the NDC or the MPP will not get out and march to the Supreme Court hoping that saying they're going to support their members. I'm doing a system where MPs or political parties and some big wigs of political parties will not get up and go to the court claiming they are offering political support, while in fact they're actually trying to, in my opinion, because remember, some of the people that have come, they were those who vetted you and approved you to go to the High Court or Appeal Court or Supreme Court. Some of the people were those who supported you. So if they are sitting there and like, yeah, these guys voted for me during the approval or something.
I don't understand. You're saying judges could be influenced by seeing members of parliament seated in
all I'm saying is that we should stop that. When somebody is accused, the person goes to court. This is my argument. Once the person's fundamental human rights have been respected, the right to a free trial, the right to a lawyer. Once those basic, that's like that, It's okay. We live in democracy because the moment you are appointed, you know that you have signed a social contract, both a written and a social contract with people, and that you will and can one day be held accountable. Anybody going to held accountable, you will never see me come and sit here, and I'm going to make this point and say, oh, don't prosecute this person. Why not? All right. I don't know what the person did, the person didn't do. And I'm
so why do you have problem with the briefings of the Attorney General?
I didn't say I have a problem with that. Did I say that? Okay. I never said that. I didn't say I have a problem with the briefings of the Attorney General. Did I say that?
That's what you said.
I didn't say, I said the problem I have with...
This one I'll call for
the problem
let's call for
let me tell you the problem I have.
No,
because the problem I have is that when you drop a non-prosecute on some cases and you are bringing cases, that was the problem I had. Solomon, look. If you want to come after me personally, I've decided not to, both of you. You're taking shots. And I'm the big boy, I can do that.
No, please.
But the point I'm making is that I never said that. I never said I had a problem with the briefing. The problem I said I had with the Attorney General is, if you're not listening, please listen very well. And I'm going to say it categorically. Okay. You drop cases of people that were being held accountable on the one breath, with the right hand. Then with the left hand, you are bringing cases against people who were doing it. That is what I have a problem with.
But I don't have a problem with the press conference.
No, I didn't say that. I have no problem with that. My point is that, so don't ascribe things to me that I have not said.
No, you have
so my point is that don't do that. Because once you've done it, look, the Senate case, the Saglemi case, the Airbus case, all those cases have gone. I'm saying that the weight that public servants have put in, just forget about what the politicians have done, but the investigative agencies. Because I listened to some parts of the case by the Attorney General, and he says there were investigations by Yoko using public money. All these public servants worked to develop a case. My point is that I have a fundamental problem with you on the one people, letting some people lose while other people try to make other people
My last question to you before I move on to Sohini.
It's not fair.
Would you say you are justified or not to say that when parties go into opposition, then they get their kind supporting them?
Yes, it's true.
When I have here comments that have been made variedly by leaders of the MPP, whether young or not, but they are leaders, members of parliament. For example, there's one, and I've heard him copiously on other stations, and that's the member of parliament for Otafo. He's a legal practitioner as well. Vincent Assefa, you know him, right?
No, I don't know him.
You don't know Vincent Assefa?
No. I've heard his name, I've never met him, so I can't say I know him.
So he says that, I didn't know Edu Boahin personally, but I won't defend him if he's truly guilty of corruption. And clearly, he doesn't find anything wrong with actions that tend to communicate acts or omissions that have been undertaken by individuals.
Then we agree on something. I've said him. I've not said anything different from what he said. Have I? No.
Aren't you contradicting yourself?
How?
Okay.
Tell me I just said it. My point is that I just said I'm not going to sit here because I don't know what the guy did. I don't know what the guy did. So I'm not going to say prosecute, don't prosecute. No, I don't care. And I'm not a lawyer. I'm not Attorney General. The Attorney General has the right to do this. And again, let me go back to my fundamental point.
So if you don't have any problem with that,
my problem is that the whole accountability system begins to be shaky when on the one hand you are the same person dropping cases against people who were alleged by another Attorney General and who were investigated by other state investigation agencies. Public money has been spent to investigate these cases. The cases develop, goes to court, spend a lot of time. Money. I'm sure we can quantify the amount of public money used to investigate and take it to court. Then you come and you flush down the toilet. And then you are starting a case. I'm saying that is not good. Let every case that goes to court, let it have a final determination in the court. Let a judge rule. If the case is poor, let a judge rule that this case is poor, you shouldn't have brought it. Let the judge smack down an Attorney General for bringing a frivolous case. Let a judge tell the Attorney General what you have done is incompetent and it's not worthy of your training as a lawyer. Let the judge do that. Take that decision away from a politician who now says that I find nothing wrong with that. Me, that is what I have a problem with. If today, you are sending everybody to court, I don't care.
All right.
Let there be a ruling and let the court determine the merits or otherwise of that case. The moment any politician, Attorney General otherwise, intervenes and withdraw the cases, my point is that it undermines the accountability regime and it shouldn't happen. Let the courts rule. If the case is meritorious, let the court rule.
So that's how it's going to be. Communication throughout to keep the public informed.
Absolutely.
So how then do we deal with the concerns that Mr. Afenyo-Markin has?
My advice to Afenyo-Markin is simply to prepare his mind to accept the reset agenda of the National Democratic Congress, because we are not taking this nation backwards. So it is better for him to accept that this is going to be the state of affairs from now onwards. than to think that we are going to beat a retreat when it comes to keeping the public informed about the actions of the very government the public has installed. We would stay true to the good people of this country. We appreciate that accountability is one of the important pillars of democracy. And we are committed to upholding that, especially being the political party that birthed the fourth Republican Constitution and have done everything within our power to protect it. We would not allow the likes of Afanya Marco and Markin to take us back. So he must brace himself up. But you see, quickly, Roland, sometimes I get a bit disappointed listening to the MPP, or if you like, their sympathizers.
Why?
Our laws empowers the Attorney General to either withdraw a case or file a nolle prosequi. And there are processes that the Attorney General must go through to do so. Because the law and the framers of our Constitution and our laws appreciate the fact that there are instances that an Attorney General can take a case to court and subsequently new evidence will emerge suggesting that the initial position of the Attorney General is not or cannot be supported in law. So there should be an avenue for the state to save resources and time than to continue with the prosecution of such cases awaiting a determination that would be known by the judge. It is needless. And that is why this government would not accept that invitation of reckless handling of cases, where we have to fold our arms because the case before the courts is something that we believe, based on the evidence available to us, cannot secure a conviction. Then we simply fold our arms as a government and wait for the judge to do that for us. We would never do that. But I expected him to be emboldened in terms of his quest to find confidence in the fact that even President John Dramani Mahama took his own people to court and secured conviction. Did Nana Addo do that? Absolutely not. So that should tell you that we are dealing with a different mind, with a different mentality when it comes to upholding the laws of this country. So the decision to withdraw some cases has been explained. And that is why I had to go through the painful history of reminding you the conduct of Godfred Dami as Attorney General and how it constituted a dent as far as that office of Attorney General is concerned. So clearly, it is the responsibility of the NDC to clean that mess. We would not waste the resources of this country in pursuing cases we believe would not bring anything to the good people of this country except wastage. We wouldn't do that.
Okay.
So when we do so, it is not out of protecting political appointees. You had 8 years. When you got the NCA conviction, did we raise any concerns against you people? Absolutely not. Have we gone to the law court saying that, look, those convictions need to be overturned? We have not done so. So that tells you that even you were struggling with those cases largely because they were politically motivated. And it was not supported in any way by substantial evidence that could secure a conviction in any lawful court. But this NDC administration, headed by His Excellency President Dramani Mahama, would do everything within its power to secure justice. But even while at that, we must do so with the mindset that we are also entrusted with the responsibility of protecting the public purse. And if you do not appreciate that, then I'm sorry.
Now, Solo, one of the key considerations that were made by voters, based on what the numbers were, percentages were out of polls, was corruption was one of the key issues, apart from the economy, health, infrastructure, and all that. Now, do you think that if the Attorney General and the government led by John Dramani Mahama does not fulfill or intensify its efforts based on the promise of anti-corruption during the campaign, you as an ordinary member of the public, a businessman, not only a politician, but just a normal Ghanaian, you think that Ghanaians will be disappointed, and so he should continue and be even more excessive?
Incumbent administrations or opposition parties do not win elections. It's the actions and inactions of government of the day that wins opposition parties' elections. Now, after the December 7th elections, current President Mahama has given 3 as it were speeches. The inauguration day speech. All the things he said did not receive any applause. When he mentioned accountability, the whole Independence Square erupted. Now, the state of the nation, all the things he said did not receive any applause. When he mentioned Ora, people applauded. Now, at the economic dialogue, I was there myself. All the things he said did not receive any applause. But when he mentioned accountability, people applauded him. What it means is that the Ghanaian wants to see some levels of reset that he has promised.
That people should be prosecuted.
Not just prosecuted. I am more interested in retrieving or recovering the stolen wealth. It is just not right that taxes that you and I have paid, we give to an individual to manage it for all of us to do well in life, and that person diverts it. And we are here this morning eulogizing such a situation. It's sad. Go and see with a small damper what it has done to our roads. We need money to fix it. We are always going around borrowing here and there. This morning you are telling us about missing 1,000 something containers, which they have to come again. Some of these things, we don't want to hear some of these stories because it is out of this world. You don't have to come and tell us some of this. They must go and come back and tell us, give us a proper report. But there is no doubt that Ghanaians want to see people that are taking the state funds. How is it that the contractor that was paid $12 million for the Pualugu Dam has not been invited as of yet? Because that one has been paid, it has been captured by the Auditor General's report.
The response was even that it was used for feasibility when feasibility had already been done.
So why is that person not answering questions?
Pualugu Dam.
It beats my imagination. Why is it that those that were at the Mineral Income Investment Fund that said they had invested 12 million to go and establish or enlist the Japan Royal whatever in the London Stock Exchange, that never materialized, are still walking about freely? You understand?
So you're saying there are more?
Look, we don't have to be joking with some of these things. More. We gave people haircut. We were told that we needed 9 billion to restructure the banking sector. We used 29.9 billion. Why is it that somebody's not answering for it? Now you have the former finance minister writing to us Paul's letters to the people of Corinthians. He is sitting in the US and writing letters to the people of Ghana. I'm coming today. I'm not coming today. Then tomorrow to Peter, who also, that's the OSP, who also give us a sermon. We must be serious with the issues of corruption. And I want to encourage this Attorney General that he must behave according to the details of the law. He must not be afraid of anybody. He must come out when he has the facts. And beyond that, as I'm waiting patiently, go to court. Because that is where we can retrieve or recover stolen wealth. As for the houses that they have determined or identified, when they are done, they can be given to the senior public servants. You understand? It's huge enough so that we can house our people there.
Well, the response is so far from his own, the response that he was a businessman.
Why would they should stop that? All of us are into business. This country, you don't do business and make that astronomical profit that they are talking about.
What type of business? Because maybe
they shouldn't waste our years.
Maybe you're in the wrong business.
No.
You saw him preaching.
One day, bring all those businessmen here. I will also be here, and we go through the analysis. We will do it. And after whether they will survive it. So they should spare our years with some of these reports.
The ECG. Yes. The ECG says their initial investigative reports are indicating that they've uncovered 1,300 containers that are missing at the ports. Yes. And excessively, that's out of a bunch of over 2,000, etc. But it also speaks volumes about, well, pervasive corruption.
This is just
because you laughed. So.
Yeah, I laughed because this is a joke.
Somebody you have 4 minutes on
somebody
this.
Said first it was the flying, what's the name? It was a flying, I confirm, guinea fowl, and now it's a flying containers. How come containers are there? Remember, the minister, the honorable minister said that.
Yes. Let me be categorical. Yes. And these matters came up during the campaign. Yes. Manasseh Azuri is on record to have copiously responded to that campaign message by the MPP pre-2017 and says that he never said anywhere that guinea fowls flew.
Okay, but right now, containers have flown. They've vanished into thin air. Containers at the port have grown wings. They've launched it. You were saying something, and I want to support that. You said one of the things that the president has made a mind is about corruption. I agree with that. This could be a first test. This could be a litmus test. Because I don't understand why such a heavily guarded national security place, the port. Because remember, the minister came in January, told us there were about 3,000 containers. Give a briefing and the update. So, and I would say these things happened So I agree with that. So let's use this as a litmus test. Who did what, when, and how? Let's use this and let the whole public get to know that who sold it. Look, is it possible that they were accounting? I want to give the minister the benefit of a doubt. Maybe they didn't count them well. That was why he said it was 3,000. And so later they recounted and there was a bit. Whatever be the case, whether it was they didn't count well, then somebody has to go and take their ABCs again, or they counted well. So the first 3,000, he said, is correct. Then somebody went to Tema Habo. I did my national service there so many moons ago. And after that, I'm sure the national security infrastructure has been vastly improved with technology and everything. And I think about 10,000, I don't want to misquote, about 10,000 then grew wings and flew into the sea or whatever. At the period where we are experiencing serious power outages, at the period where the same ECG is burdened by debt. The minister said that. And at a period where we would need those things to come back. I want to see this, and I hope that this becomes a first litmus test, that we find out who did what, when, and how. And that when the persons, the perpetrators are caught up and the due process taken care of, we will begin to move from rhetoric to action. And I want to see that happen because there's something there that that place is so secure that, and remember, the moment the minister mentioned these things, it means I would have thought that focus and additional security would have been provided there. The moment he mentioned it, I would have thought that if you are the manager of the port and the minister of state is telling you that these things are there, you will immediately mobilize additional security to go and protect those things. What happened? How did they vanish? And I pray and hope that we are updated, that the right thing is done, and that this becomes a little more, because if it is done well, it will deter future sightings all over the country.
Okay, so just in 4 minutes.
Perhaps
can we go by the assumption that the minister needs to provide maybe much more information?
No, before I get there, let me correct this wrong impression. You see, in our language, there's a saying that sometimes the very person to be the first to shout thief, thief, thief is likely the thief. And that is the impression I see being created around this table.
You mean the one who say he
is brother, for all you know, he's the #1 culprit. And I'll explain why. The minister has not said anywhere prior to this report that he had done an auditing of the claimed 3,000 containers that was left behind by the MPP, management of ECG. No. What the minister told the good people of this country, and mind you, Honorable John Jinepo is one of the meticulous appointees you can find in this government who knows his onions, especially when dealing with the energy sector. He informed the good people of this country that based on the report that he had received from the ECG, they had in excess of 3,000 containers that they were unable to clear at the ports. Being a meticulous appointee of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, he directed an audit of the claimed 3,000 containers that had been left. That should tell you that he was simply not ready to accept the handing over notes, declaration of 3,000. He needed to actually audit those containers to be sure that indeed 3,000 had been left.
That's how he arrived at that.
Yes, so it is not as if the Honorable John Jinepo went to the port and counted 3,000 containers. He himself had to cross-check through an audit of the committee he set up to go and audit to be sure that what the handing over notes is communicating is actually what is the fact. So he is equally shocked that based on the handed over notes, they can justify indeed that 3,000 3,000 containers were supposed to be at the port. But they have counted only about 1,000 something. And they cannot account for 1,300. And remember, the ports were not left ajar. When the NDC took power, we protected the ports. So if there is any flying away of containers, the flying away of containers took place before President John Dramani Mahama was handed over power to. These are the facts. And that is why we are interested in finding out where those containers went to. Remember, at the time, the chairman of the ECG board, can you allow me to land? The chairman of the ECG board was the same Afenyo Markin. Afenyo Markin. He's just the immediate past board chairman of the ECG. So they need, absolutely, they need to know. We need to be inviting them to tell us where that 1,300 containers went to. So you cannot, at the comfort of your party office, suddenly start shouting thief, 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 when in actual sense you are the #1 culprit and suspect. So let us not entertain that. But Roland, to the substantive issues. You see, we must appreciate the rot that is happening at the ECG and know that it falls in line with the concerns His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama raised in his first State of the Nation address. Remember, he told us that many of our SOC, state-owned enterprises, were indebted, SOEs, and many of them were collapsing, largely because of reckless management. Today, what has happened at the ports, and the fact that even ECG, imagine the rot, Solo, ECG could not even get money to clear the containers, yet decided to engage 2 other companies and pre-financed one of them to continue with the clearing of something that they claimed that they didn't have money to clear. And so that is the kind of way this country was handled. Look at every state institution. It was run down. It was almost as if this country was an illegal mining site for NPP appointees to mine our resources away. But so it was not just in our bushes and forests.
Investigations would have to be.
They were mining as far as the public
is or not. I mean.
No, but that's the point I'm making. But you see, Ghanaians must be hopeful that change has come. You see, if you monitor President Mahama clearly and closely, you would know that President Mahama understands that his success as president will not come from the 60 ministers that he has appointed. He appreciates that his success as a president would come from the many civil state-owned enterprises out there. That is why he seemed to be interested, and that is why he, for the first time, he decided to have an engagement with them, and also indicated his commitment to empowering the state interest governance authority, SIGA, to ensure that performance contracts are signed with managers of these state-owned enterprises. Roland is important. So clearly, President Mahama appreciated that a chunk of the rot happened using the state-owned enterprises. And the time has come for us to reverse that trend. Okay. But the site, Ghanaians should not forget that the #1 culprit in running down our state institutions is the New Patriotic Party and their assigns. We are trying to fix the rot, and we would not be branded as people being responsible for the missing of the coup.
Ended December 7th. Yes. Then subsequently, the days following through, they set up a transitional team or committee, so to speak. And so we know that the handing over notes were prepared before January 7. Now, the new minister can only get access to the handing over notes when he's in office. How is it important that we need to drill down so that consumers of electricity who hold the ECG as the main distributor of power there, with all the fluctuations we tend to get and the consistent power cuts without communication, that we guard that agency very well, especially in relation to this very matter?
Well, ECG is a crime scene. If the president says that Ghana is a crime scene, then ECG is an epitome of that.
How do you make those conclusions, Mr. Oso?
This is a company that, first of all, we are told by PricewaterhouseCoopers that they have 99 bank accounts, as against what the IMF even stipulates. This is a company where they go and collect 15.48 billion cedis and then only declares 10.4 to the people of this country. We don't know where the 5.3 went to. Even with the 10.4, this is a company that decided to pay only 6.5 billion out of that 10.4 to various institutions within the supply chain. And guess what? The company that does the collections for them actually was paid 402 million when VRE, that is generating the energy itself, got 412 million Ghana cedis. The collection company got 402 million. The VRE that is generating power is paid 412 million. And even with that, the collection company gets paid ahead of VRE. And the most interesting aspect of it is that the collection company gets more money than we power authority. It doesn't make sense to you.
In relation to what?
In relation to how much they take as their service charge.
The revenue assurance.
The revenue assurance, those that collect.
Because they put together a system to collect revenue.
What system? How can you get more money than the Power Authority that is generating the power? So that company over there is a semblance of a crime scene.
ECG?
ECG. It needs massive overhauling.
ECG?
ECG is a crime scene. I have said it here before that every procurement that they do at ECG is inflated by a factor of 150%. People thought I was joking. You understand? In matters where Afenyo Markins has not been invited, he quickly responds to it. This one is within your purview. You were the board chair. What is his position on this missing containers? Was it the case that the ECG itself didn't need the things that they imported? Because if really they needed all these things, why were they left at the port? You need cables. You imported them. Why would you clear? You need meters. And indeed, people go and actually pay bribes before they are giving meters. This is the country you have. You go and pay bribe that ECG should come and meter you so that at the end of the month you can go and pay them. Does it make sense to you? And when matters of this nature comes, Afenyo Markins goes shushush. He doesn't speak again.
Shushush?
He's just gone back. He's not speaking anymore. Call him on this matter and he will tell you I'm in a meeting. But let the Attorney General go and organize a press conference to brief the people of this country as to why his investigations have gotten to. Then immediately he makes a statement. I listened to Collins Admako, the former Deputy Minister of Energy, and he's saying the minority will cooperate. What are you going to cooperate on? It is for the national security to act. It is for the law enforcement agencies to act. It is for the government to act to bring the truth out. I understand that even the cables and meters that they are supposed to buy are not the ones that you have at the port. They went and bought substandard goods. And all these fees...
Not according to specifications? Not
according to. And all these fees into the 68 billion Ghana cedis ECG is owing. It's deliberate.
You think these are just procurement
people just can't say, oh, let's go and buy. So that we can get top. Like that's what we have been doing to ourselves. And their inefficiencies, we are always called upon to pay. PURC, because of fluctuation in currency, because of all these things are the reasons why we are always paying more for electricity. And you think it's a joke? So in this massive overhauling, we are told that even the procurement officer there is not qualified. If it is true, then it's serious. That the person has no clue about procurement. Yet he was engaged under the Eswal administration, the Nana Akufo-Addo administration. So really, we have not been treated well, and I believe that the minister must come clean. He must activate investigations. Whoever has shortened this country, he must go for the money and the assets so that we build this country with it. It cannot be business as usual. We are tired of some of these things. As if in this country, if we are doing well, it has somebody. That this country always, if the Ghanaian will hear any news, we are increasing this, we are increasing this, we are increasing this. When are we going to hear, we are giving you this, we are giving you this?
All right. So let's go to our stream. And I thank you, gentlemen. Dr. Zato, thank you for always coming. I always admire your presence as well. And thank you for being receptive to... What's it there? Lawyer Suhuyini, thank you very much as well. He's your brother.
You're not worried.
Mr. Solbosu, thank you very much.
And I like factual
now, please put off their mics so that I run through this.
Because I don't do that.
Amama Gold says, preach on Solo. As for Solo, he's very factual.
Okay, don't do that.
Kwame Bedu says, shush. And then we have Newton Kane, who says, I'm sure that the one that borrowed you... Okay. Roland, please ask... please, I ask, so where's Mr. Solomon's neck? Oh. Okay. Now, Bliss Drum says, I think this way. You see, politics has become a hub of state embezzlement and looting. How can 1,000 containers get missing? Individuals wait in opposition for 8 years. When they come to power, then they loot. Just look at what the Attorney General is telling us. We are waiting. If the government, I mean this government, led by John Dramani Mahama and his appointees fail, we'll call them out. That is what needs to be done to make sure that we improve as a country and develop well. Money should not go into empty pockets. Now, Joanna Kwe says, Solo, thanks for educating us. I always love the way you communicate. And Roland, be allowing him to talk uninterrupted. I'm sorry I interrupted you. Saddam Esuman says, truly, ECG is the biggest crime scene. Lazy directors all over. The president should investigate them. And then adds, management must provide answers to government. This is sad indeed. Abdulaziz says, ECG matter. You cannot say. And then let me just go on to our WhatsApp console and then get a couple more. And thank you all for the messages as well. Alfred Triddle says, with dispassionate and candid sense of respect, the judiciary under the leadership of the current Chief Justice is polarized. In fact, everything is nyama. And okay, I have Nana Gazo. Nana Gazo, thank you also for watching. Now, Moses said they overprocured. My investigations indicate that I operate in the power sector. They were said to have procured things they did not need immediately, and that is why they have glut. Now look at all the substance. I agree with Solo. And, well, I have this one from Delhi. Delhi says the minority leader should also go to court and stop running to the press every now and then, and even raising these things where he knows that he'll be protected. He should head to court and challenge the Attorney General on these vexed matters. Now, that'll be it for now. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming. And now we also have to tell you why it's beach curtain this Easter holiday. So you have to create an unforgettable memory at the beach with your family and friends by also booking the all-inclusive 3-night package from Maha Beach. And it's from the 18th to the 21st of April. Now, it starts from 6,800 Ghana cedis for a couple. If you're an early bird, you get discounts. You book and pay. So if you do that before the 31st of March 2025, you get to have 20% discounted on the price as mentioned. Now, if you do that before the 10th of April, it is 10%. The package offer gets free access to all in-house facilities like swimming pools. They have gym available, cinemas where they also get to serve you with popcorns, board games, snooker games. You also get to enjoy free airport pickups from Takrady when you arrive on Friday, the 18th of April. Remember, for this, we have terms and conditions applying. The activities you get to enjoy on your holiday will include live bands, a tour of Maha Beach Resort's beautiful facility, also all doing that in an electric golf cart. They have the in-house carnival, the splash playground for kids. You also get to enjoy activities like sipping and painting, bicycle rides available, and then bike rides. You also get to enjoy a boat ride to the beautiful Maha village. Jet ski is available, banana boat, party bus rides. They also have a trip to Nzulezu and many more. Maha Beach Resort doesn't offer just accommodation. They say they also deliver experience. Now, remember that Maha Beach Resort is a one-stop holiday destination for all families, groups, and those who will be on honeymoons or those who are in the private sector and corporate sector and want events. Call them for reservations. You can call on the following lines: 030-3977-773 or 050-1570-684. You can also email them, sm@maharesort.com, or go to their website, mahabeachresort.com. We also have cash out. It goes with a short code, *439#. You choose option 2, increase the number of tickets you have as many times as you can. You will get a prompt. You increase the number of tickets you have, and you become one of those lucky winners as well. All right. Let me say good morning to Dominic Champong. I wish you well for the day as well, who has been watching, and all those who also watched us as well. We're taking a break. We'll be right back.